was the key. So once he started having that problem, he started experimenting along with a whole lot of competitors. This is a very competitive time, and they would steal ideas from each other and so forth. So in 1904, Martin filed the first patent for what we would now, call a Vibroplex. First it was Autoplex and so forth. This diagram, though, is actually from the 1906 patent, or he applied in 1906. It was granted in 1907, and it's an essentially modern Vibroplex, as you'll see.
Interesting that they issued patents faster than they did.
Yeah. A little faster.
Does that surprise you?
In fact, back in the day, you had to provide a model of your the patented device, as well as a diagram.
And you still should have to do that.
Yep. Nowadays, they just send in the software manual.
That's right, you assume.
Okay, I said this was a tale of two telegraphers. So this is telegrapher number 2. And now you're going to have this like deja vu feeling, like you've heard this story before. Well, in this case it was Edward Buchanan. Now, actually, here's a trivia question I don't know. The high school that's down the street, how do they pronounce that?
Buchanan.
They say Buchanan? Okay. His name apparently at the time was pronounced Buchanan. So that should be Buchanan High School of Technology, the old Norcross High School. So anyway, good old Buck was, well, polite people say he was an orphan. It may be a case of uncertain parentage. But in any event, he was adopted while an infant by Martha and Leslie Buchanan of Norcross. And he was obviously born right around here as well. And Buchanan and Martin had really had parallel lives. I mean, they were born only 2 years apart. Norcross, as you know, is a train depot, and that train depot, of course, had a telegraph station. So good old Buck learned landline, continental telegraphy from a fellow named Dave Wall at the depot, which is now a restaurant. And he got quite good at it as well. And so also, as a young teen, he went to work for Western Union in Atlanta in the early 1890s, like someone else that we just heard, where we have no record that they actually met. They didn't post it on Facebook or anything. But, telegraphers working in the Western Union office in Atlanta in the same early 1890s, it almost seems certain that they had to have known each other. Because, as you heard a moment ago, Martin left for fame and fortune in New York City. Well, Buck had I guess a wandering streak, and he spent times in Jacksonville, Florida. He went out west. We know he made it all the way out to San Francisco, working as basically a Western Union and Associated Press telegrapher. But he too also went off to the Big Apple to seek fame and fortune. And Buck, by that time, was a brokerage telegrapher. So not sending a press copy, but actually sending like stock prices and commodities and that sort of thing, which Greg has some information on some of the ciphers and stuff that they use for that information. But he became interested, obviously, in the stock market at that point. And when he got to New York City, of course, no telling what he really did from time to time, but he ended up at the brokerage firm of A.O. Brown. And by 1907, this little, orphan kid was a millionaire.
With inside information.
Maybe inside information, but he may just have been really, really clever. And even though he became a millionaire, he didn't hide his humble origins at all. He was really generous to the town of Norcross. His stepfather by that time had died, and Martha, his stepmother, had remarried. But he built her a granite, what is back then would have been a mansion. Nowadays it's just a really nice house. A few blocks from here out of granite. $40,000 in early 1900s value. In fact, I heard that a hand lives there, but he's not active. In 1907, Buchanan and some of his broker investment banker kind of friends rode in their private Pullman cars to visit Norcross in the Atlanta area. And if you read the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, or Atlanta Journal at the time,
Or the Constitution.